Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Welcome in on a Tuesday morning. Your Utah Jazz back in action and blown out in Houston, 125-105. I know 20-point loss doesn't sound terrible because, you've seen a bunch of 30 and 40-point losses this year. But they were down 21 at the half. Honestly, I thought the game was blown wide open late in the first quarter. So it was Peacock only. If you don't have Peacock, if you don't have access to that, those of you who have cable, it's up there in the 1,000 somewhere. There's some channel where the Peacock streaming games get put. So I watched it. It was bizarre to watch some national broadcast where I don't know anybody. and Jazz just get blown out early. For the life of me, I can't figure out why Peacock wanted that game. But, hey, there you go. They got it. So the Jazz go down to defeat. They get a loss they needed, a loss we expected. It really shows the gap. You can go from the bottom to the middle pretty quickly. I think the Jazz have built a roster that is already ready to do that next year. It's obvious to me that they can get to the middle of the league. But when you want to get to the top of the league, suddenly some big jumps that need to be accomplished. And I don't think Houston is the top tier of the league. I was talking about it yesterday. I think they're the second tier of the league, and it shows how much has to be done. And I think there will be more moves this summer. Yusuf Nurkic's season is done. He's having surgery for a deviated septum. He's been hitting the nose, and so he's going to get that taken care of, and then he's going to hit free agency, and I expect he'll be too expensive for the Jazz to bring back. So they'll need to find a backup center, assuming they sign Walker Kessler, which right now I think is more likely than not. I expect he'll be back. Obviously, it's not a done deal or guarantee. They've got Jackson and Markkanen, but they're going to have to bring someone in to back up Markkanen in the 3, especially if Markkanen's going to take the minutes at the 4 when Jackson sits, which is what I would expect they would do. So they need to find a starting caliber guard, a veteran, I think, with some playoff experience. If they want to win in the playoffs, they're going to need to add some playoff experience to this team. So someone who can, start the offense, play the guard spot, someone who can swing between the 2 and the 3. I think they need a couple veterans there. I don't know what that's going to mean for Sensabaugh. I could see Collier on the roster as the 4th guard, but they're going to have to find a way to put playoff experience on there. They got a short window here. They got 3 years, really, with everybody signed, and then, we'll see what happens. You're not team building for long windows here. I mean, maybe they could bring a bunch of the guys back, but at the same time, maybe they don't. It's just hard to know. So I think they're really going to have to accelerate this thing. And you could see against Houston, they were just, outmatched, and they can't expect these young guys to do a lot. I think Bailey of the young guys is the one who clearly is going to stay in the rotation. I expect Kessler too, but they're going to need some veterans. Obviously, Jackson has playoff experience, and Markkanen does not, but is still going to be expected to play at a high level. All right, DJ and PK. There's the Jazz basketball. They come home now and host the Pelicans twice in the next 2 games, 2 very winnable games, and I expect they'll win one of them. But they better not win both of them. We'll see how that goes. We'll see if there's a reason to take Markkanen out of the lineup and see how that shakes out. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Let's take a break right now. Coming up, we got plenty to get to. We got Sam Farnsworth wrapping up the Olympics. Mike Folta talking hockey as well. Kevin Young getting you ready for the next BYU basketball game as BYU hosts a UCF team that is on the bubble, but right now looks like they're on the right side of the bubble and in the NCAA tournament. Both teams are 8-6 and tied in the conference standings. We'll get to all of that coming up. Stay with us. DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Sam Farnsworth from KSL Sports is flying back to Utah today. Sam was there for the Olympic Games. We talked to him yesterday after he witnessed the thrilling gold medal victory for the United States over Canada. Here is Sam Farnsworth joining us from Italy on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Let's get to your comments on the gold medal hockey game. Were you in the rafters? Yeah. Were you right on the ice? Were you in the media room because there were no seats in the arena? What did they do with people?
Right. So it's they call that a high demand event for the media, right?
You think.
Yeah, so you had to put your name in and apply for a spot with the media even in advance. So your regular Olympic credential wasn't going to get you in.
Sure.
Luckily, I was one of 4 from our little NBC group out here that was selected to be able to go in. So we go in, we were greeted outside with someone who allows us to get in with the proper, entrance ticket, whatever you want to call it. And then we go to our regular, kind of the regular media seating area, which normally is kind of a first come, first serve. And we go sat down there for about 20 minutes before they came and kicked us out, because those seats were, you had to apply ahead in advance for a seat there as well for the media. So we ended up, long story short, this is actually the great thing, is we ended up in a standing room only spot right by where the broadcast, like the in-between period broadcasters, those guys, right? We were standing right next to those guys, just with a great view behind the net where they scored the game-winning goal. So we stood there for the whole game, and it was worth every minute on my tired feet by the end of the day. It was so good.
Nice. Did you get a chance to talk to the Utah Mammoth representative on Team USA, Clayton Keller, who's getting a gold medal? Well, has now received a gold medal.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, he was all smiles afterwards. He was really happy. And you can, I'm not a body language expert or anything, but I feel like you could kind of tell that he was a little disappointed with the way his playing time went in these Olympic Games. He was a healthy scratch those first two games. He finally got in on the third game with the third line. He played about the expected amount of minutes for someone in that position. The fourth game, he came in that same role, but after the first period, they benched him. Yeah. And I talked to him after that game, and you could tell just kind of based on body language that maybe he was a little disappointed that he didn't get to continue playing and that he was kind of replaced in a sense. Well, the semifinal and final game, he was that extra skater, so he was suited up. He did hit the ice for brief minutes, but when I talked to him after the gold medal yesterday, he definitely was all smiles and just he had a great experience. He talked about how his teammates out here, that they'll be pretty much linked and bonded together forever, that their experiences off the ice were just unlike any other he's had with any other team, where just the amount of time they spent together at the Olympic Village. Some of the guys said they took full advantage of the dorm life there, right? And they just really got to know each other and enjoyed spending time with each other. So even though his role was limited, and even some of his teammates, I talked to them about Clayton and his role with the team, and every single one of them just raved about him and just talked about how great of a teammate he is, how skilled and good of a hockey player he is. And it just kind of, from my perspective, leads me to believe that the Mammoth are really lucky to have such a great leader and captain that they have in Clayton Keller.
Were you around the Canadians at all? The disappointment versus the jubilation you obviously saw with the United States, or maybe they're far enough apart and you're trying to get Clayton?
No, they walk through the same area that we walk through.
Yeah.
Yep, same mix zone. So those players, when they came through, clear disappointment on their face. I mean, I don't think it was any more clear on anyone else's face than Nathan McKinnon's. He felt terrible for. I think he put on his shoulders a little bit of the blame for the loss. Giving up the puck there near the end, and and then inside the arena, it was. We're trying to figure out, okay, what's the divide here between Canada and United States fans, and there's probably a good 75 to 25%, in favor of Canada. And so when that goal was scored, it was like how you would imagine it on any road game where the visiting team wins, just the energy sucked right out of the building. And then you hear the cheers and jubilation of the United States team and of the American fans that were there. But it was like the immediate reaction was just like just everything sucked right out of that building. And it's because they did not expect it. There's no way. You go into a 3-on-3 overtime, and the three guys you start with out on the ice are Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, and Cale Makar. I mean, come on, those are probably three of the top 5 players in the world right now in the sport of hockey, and they didn't get the job done. The Americans got it done, and they scored that game-winning goal, and you could just the energy, the excitement, every face I saw that was a Canadian fan walking out, every face I saw from the players, and we even walked past the team management, the team bosses, right, in the concourse, and they were just furious. So there was just a lot of disappointment on their end, of course, but just sheer jubilation, shock to an extent, elation for the United States side.
Mammoth had 3 other players there, and they had obviously a wide range of experience and ice time, from none at all to goal, assist, and all of that. Those 3 guys, I don't know how much you got to interact with any of them. Who'd you get to interact with, and what was their takeaway?
Yeah, I was able to interact briefly with all of them. Ole Mata was outstanding after winning the bronze medal. I talked to him right after they won their bronze medal game, and I just asked him, what does he take from that? There's only 2 teams that get to end the Olympics with a win, and they're one of them. And he's like, yeah, we were disappointed to lose in that semifinal game. We thought we were a better team. We thought we were coming to compete and win a gold medal. Finland always has high expectations because they are super talented and very good. But he did say that winning the bronze kind of made it feel like, that consolation, not really a consolation, but it kind of made him feel like, that they are leaving a champion in a sense, right? Winning that bronze medal because they did end on a winning note. And he said he was really proud of that moment. JJ Peterka, when I spoke, the last time I spoke to him was after they were eliminated, and he was disappointed, clearly disappointed. The German team was talented. They're not as good as, Finland, Sweden, United States, or Canada, but they did have some very talented players on their roster, led by Leon Draisaitl, and he was disappointed. I think if, I catch up with him next week sometime at Mammoth practice, he'll probably have had time to let it soak in a little more and understand just how great it was for him to be at the Olympics. And then, Karel Vemelka, who never ended up playing, I asked multiple people in the Czech media, kind of why doesn't he play? And they just clearly said, well, it's because he's our number 3. He's definitely our number 3 goalie. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess that answers that. He's the winningest goalie in the NHL right now, but number 3 for his country. So, but I saw him post on social media I think it was yesterday, a post of him with his team there at the Olympics, and he just kind of briefly mentioned how proud he was to be an Olympian. And so all 4 of them, they should all be very proud that they were able to be here and represent their teams the first time since, 12 years that NHL players have been able to be in the Olympic Games. So it's quite an honor for all of them.
Now that the games are over, your takeaway, I don't know, did you do the closing ceremonies thing or you were so wrapped up with the hockey you didn't have time?
Yeah, they put those pretty close together. I mean, I had just finished kind of wrapping up all of my post-game stuff and starting to send video back when closing ceremonies began. And also closing ceremonies was a few hours away. They used like an old ancient stadium for it. I saw pictures of it, but I didn't see any of it. I heard it was interesting, but again, I wasn't able to watch any of it. I was pretty consumed with hockey yesterday, which I'll tell you what, it was worth my attention. Though.
Right.
That was one of the most, I don't know how to describe it.
Electric?
Yeah, I mean, and there's going to be some recency bias. Maybe I got to sit down and think about some of the cool things I've done over the years with my career, but at the same time, that's got to be a top 5er right now, maybe even top 3 of things I've ever done in my career is being able to watch that game and cover that game.
What was the other give us one other big moment from the games that's going to stand out for you sometime in these 17 days? Well, you've been there more than that, but 17 days of competition.
Right. Yeah, 100% right away, I think of Jalen Kopp. She's a mogul skier who, lives in Salt Lake City. She grew up in Wyoming, but she's lived in Salt Lake City ever since she started to take her skiing seriously. And she won a silver medal in the moguls up in Livigno, and she won the silver medal in that same event in Beijing, but didn't have her family there. And so for me, what really is just kind of burned into my memory that I'll never forget is the moment that after she won her medal, she was able to run over. They have a waiting area for family to come over, and her family and her boyfriend and her close friends were all there waiting for her, and she ran over. There's just tears and joy and celebration between them to be able to share that moment that they weren't able to share 4 years ago. For me, as a witness to it, a spectator to it, in a sense, that was a pretty special moment that I won't forget.
How easy is it to get back, or are the flights just jammed now with people coming back? You got to hang out a day?
Yeah, I mean, I leave tomorrow morning, and so far all of my schedule is fine. So they have all these NBC employees, they have about half of us going through Atlanta and the other half going through New York.
Okay.
And that includes our two that are in Cortina. And all the people going through New York, their flights for tomorrow have already been canceled for at least one day because apparently the East Coast is being hammered with snow.
Yep.
Or is going to be hammered with snow. So
it is being hammered.
Yeah. So they're not getting out on schedule. For me, I'm on schedule though. So thank goodness. I've enjoyed my time here, but I'll definitely enjoy getting back home.
I didn't know anything about it. I wasn't that dialed in, but on social media this morning, I saw one of the people I follow who's a New York-based sports media member was complaining about local news. You will love this. First time he says, I am weirdly obsessed with local news during storms. He says, they're listing one at a time everything that is closed. He says, why don't they just say, everything is closed? I'm like, because if you know that, then you'll turn off the TV. So they're stringing you along. I mean, you and I have watched enough weather coverage waiting to get on TV like, oh, cut to the chase already.
Exactly.
But it's the industry. I don't even know what station he's watching. I mean, I assume he's watching one of the New York stations because he's New York-based, but he could be in Boston covering some game and it'd be the same in Boston.
That reminds me, when I lived in Colorado, whenever there was a snowstorm, you wake up early in the morning, turn the news on because they'd scroll across the bottom or announce which school districts were closing or how on a delayed start. And it's like, okay, if this district is closed, these other two have to be closed because they're right next to it. Why don't they just say all of them are closed? So that's what it reminds me of.
Yep. Yeah. PK has those stories when he was a kid, listening to the radio to find out if his school was closed. When I worked in Sacramento, which is basically sea level, so it doesn't get snow, but the market goes all the way to the state line. So there are people watching you who get tons of snow because you're up in the Sierra Nevadas. And so,
by Reno,
yeah, it was literally Reno has their own TV. It divides right on the state line. So it was literally such a routine that they would drive to the exact same exit. They knew right where the snow level was going to be. And they'd go to the same exit, stand on the same overpass, and then just point in a slightly different direction.
Right, there you go. Just do your stand-up shots, right, and live reports from there.
So funny. Hilarious. All right, well, I'm glad you drew Atlanta instead of New York. That's a win.
No kidding, right? Well, so here's the catch, and not to eat up all your time on this, but the people going to New York are on the official NBC charter, and apparently they all had one row to themselves.
Really?
And they're all telling me this, and some of them are like, so now we have to share a row. I'm like, get over it.
Shut up.
I'm going to be on a full plane to Atlanta for 10 hours. Quiet.
You scrunched into a middle seat? I hope you draw better than that. And
I hope not.
And I hope you don't draw some 6'2" dude sitting next to you.
Exactly.
As we all know. You see 6'2", 270 guy coming down tonight. No. Yeah. Where's the 5'1", 108-pound grandma? Let's go.
Yeah. 100%. I'll keep my fingers crossed for all the good.
Yeah, as soon as I see some 6'6" dude get on the plane, I know he's sitting next to me. That's just how that works.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, Sam, safe travels on the way back. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you when you get home after you take a little time off, if Nate allows such things.
Yeah, I hope so. That's my plan. Thanks, DJ.
There's Sam Farnsworth. And a reminder, don't miss your chance to win big every week on the KSL Sports Zone. This week, you can win tickets to see Stain and the Break the Cycle 25th Anniversary Tour featuring Seether with special guests Hoobastank and Hinder at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on October 7th. Tickets are on sale at livenation.com or listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day Wednesday for your chance to win. When we come back, Mike Folta talking Utah Mammoth hockey and Kevin Young looking forward to BYU and UCF at the Marriott Center. Stay with us right here on The Zone. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Mike Folta joined me yesterday on the show. With the Olympics over, we talked a little Olympic hockey and look forward to the Utah Mammoth returning to action Wednesday night. They got Colorado, best team in the NHL. If they're at full strength, Mike gets into the possibility that they won't be. Here's Mike Folta with me on The Zone. The Olympics are over. The Mammoth getting ready to play. Mike joins us right now. Brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, DJ, or as we say here in America, gold morning.
Oh, nice.
Super exciting. You like that, huh?
I did. I like that a lot. That was good.
I wish I could take credit for it. That was my broadcast and podcast partner, Adrian Denny. I thought he made a spelling mistake when he texted that to me, but it plays after the U.S. wins gold, not just in women's hockey, but then in men's hockey early. Sunday morning. Hope everybody was watching like we were. Jack Hughes with the overtime winner. Did you get up at 6:10 Mountain Time to get that puck drop, DJ?
As a matter of fact, I did not. I get up 5 mornings a week, and you don't get me up for anything. Don't hockey fans, don't take it personal. You know how often I get up for Wimbledon? Never. Do you know how often I get up for English Premier League soccer? Never. You get a game that starts at, because the game starts at 9, 10, 11. Now I'm in. But a 6 a.m. start? No, thank you.
I can't shame you too much, and I'm not proud to admit this, but I recorded it and then slept until like 7.
Oh, yeah. And then you can
was
zoom.
able to fast forward through the intermission.
Exactly. You know, sorry, sponsors, but goodbye, commercial breaks. I have to do that sometimes. It's the only way to get through a Saturday when you have the Jazz playing, the Mammoth playing, and I feel like I got to watch, depending on what's going on, 2 or 3 college basketball games as well. You've got to compress them. Like, I'm running out of hours in the day here, and especially because they overlap. So it's the only way to do it.
I used to just rake people over the coals for watching games recorded, and now it's one of my favorite things. Now, with the gold medal game on Sunday, I did get to, I was watching the third period in overtime live. Okay. So everybody hold on to your horses. But one of my favorite things, DJ, like after a Mammoth game gets done at home, maybe it's 10:30, I get back to my apartment, got a couple college basketball games recorded, and boom, you can watch those things in like an hour when you fast forward through the free throws and the
But you took a little more than an hour to watch Purdue beat the snot out of Indiana Friday. Oh, thank you, sir. May I have another? Oh, holy cow. You guys, no mercy. It's a rivalry game. Why would there be mercy?
I was back in the Holy Land that week, and I was at Mackey Arena, which is where Purdue plays. Yeah. Great atmosphere, one of the best college basketball atmospheres. And I watched us get drummed by Michigan, who may very well be my championship pick come the tournament here in a little bit. But getting a win over the in-state rival was fantastic. Thinking about hitting up the Huntsman Center for a little Iowa State Utah on Tuesday after it was BYU that took down the Cyclones the other night. Good win for the Cougs.
Yep. All right, that's a lot of basketball from the hockey guy right there. Nice. I thought coming out of the Olympics, the lesson is they got to do 4 nations again. An all-star game has no oomph, but U.S.-Canada under any circumstance, in any situation, yes, please. Yes. Oh. So do you think the 4 nations will come back next year?
I believe we're in line to do some kind of all-star competition. To be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure. They have cycles of these international tournaments, not just the Olympics, but things like the 4 nations as well. But I mean, we knew that U.S.-Canada plays. Like, we knew that that's the number one hit. That's what people want to see. And it delivered on Sunday. It was exactly what we would hope it would be. It was incredible hockey between 2 teams. Connor Hellebuck, the goaltender for Team USA, played maybe the best game I've ever seen a goaltender play, or at least up there when you consider the competition. He made 41 saves. He made what you could make an argument is the best save of all time, or the greatest save of all time, considering the circumstance.
Did you
feel back with his goal stick and knocked the puck away from the net mouth on a Devon Taves shot? I mean, that could have been the game right there, and he saved the U.S.'s gold medal hopes. So Hellebuck was fantastic. The overtime was thrilling as well. You had the best players in the world on the ice, and then it was Jack Hughes in overtime, a guy who last year in the 4 nations, DJ, did not play all that well. Like, he was widely criticized for his play for Team USA at the 4 nations tournament last year. Well, what do you know? He has a fantastic Olympic tournament this season and is the overtime hero after taking a stick to the teeth. Did you see the pictures of Jack Hughes' teeth.
Great
they were
quotes.
not just knocked out; they were cut in half. He broke his teeth.
Yeah, great quotes from him about they called them chipped, and I thought, chip? Nah, it was a little more than the chip. But whatever. Hockey players, it's a flesh wound, It's just merely a flesh wound. But he said he looked down on the ice and picked him up like, dude, if it's a chip, you can't see your tooth on the ice if it's just a chip. That's a big chunk of tooth if you can see it. Yeah, that was I don't even know what that was. I'm out of words, and I'm rarely out of words. I'm curious, as we switch from the Olympics and all the passion around that to the Mammoth returning. Are they going to return fully healthy? What do you know about Cooley's status, if anything?
Yeah, we were expecting Cooley to be on the bench or on the ice when the Mammoth dropped the puck on Wednesday night against the Colorado Avalanche in a return to play. Two really big matchups for Utah coming out of the gates as we resume action. Colorado, best team in the league on Wednesday, and then the Minnesota Wild, another top 5 team in the league on Friday night. And we've been seeing Logan Cooley out there with with the full contact jersey, I should say, at practice. So he has not had any limitations in practice. And these are not just kind of, your normal regular season practices either, where you're kind of going through the motions, just trying to get a sweat in, get the legs moving, maybe tweaking some things on special teams. These are like training camp practices where guys are competing and there's a little bit more physicality throughout the day as we try and ramp up to game speed. But haven't seen an official word yet, but the belief is that Logan Cooley is going to be back. He's missed the last 28 games due to a lower body injury, and he's still one of the Mammoth leading scorers, despite the fact that he's missed a third of the season. Basically, he's Utah's most dynamic offensive player. He plays a key position, the center position, more responsibility, and he's just a joy to watch. So really excited to have him back into the fold. When he went down, I mean, DJ, we were thinking, gosh, that could be the season for the Mammoth right there. And what do you know? Utah has way more than a winning record, way more than a 500 record with him out of the lineup. So they do much better than even just treading water with him out. And they'll get him back. That's the expectation for these last 25 games. Also expected to get Alexander Kerfoot back here soon, if not right away, as we resume. He's a very versatile piece in the forward group for Utah, kills penalties, takes faceoffs. He's only played 9 games this year due to injury. He's had a couple of injuries. And so him getting a ton of practice time is going to be huge for the Mammoth.
4 Mammoth players at the Olympics, and I think there's always a question about fatigue and the emotional energy expended. But given how these teams performed and given each player's role within the team, I mean, Vejmelka didn't play, right? So he's got to deal with the jet lag, and maybe he needs to play a little bit and face some shots. I don't know, maybe there's a little rust there. How do you think these guys seg back into NHL play given their various experiences?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, Karel Vejmelka is already over here practicing, so the
because
checks got bounced. Yeah, and Karel was on the first flight over, and he's been getting used to being back stateside. It will be interesting for Clayton Keller, who didn't play a ton in that gold medal game for Team USA, but you could there were videos of Team USA calling President Donald Trump, and it sounded like he invited them to the White House. And from what we're hearing, it sounds like Team USA is going to be partying in Miami Monday night or tonight, I guess. And so they're doing a little celebration tour, and not sure how many of the American players are going to be good to go for Wednesday. We also heard from Colorado's head coach, Jared Bednar, that Cale Makar and Nathan McKinnon, 2 guys who were on Team Canada, along with their Colorado teammate Devon Taves. But those guys who were on Team Canada, he was saying they might not be ready to go for Wednesday. So not sure what that's going to look like for some of the Team USA and Team Canada players who went all the way to the final game and played a really draining game. Good news is for Utah that the Mammoth didn't have a ton of guys that went super deep and played a ton. Vejmelka didn't play at all for the Czechs, which was surprising for us. But the spin zone is that he's rested, and he's going to be leaned upon heavily in these last 25 games. JJ Peterka was good for Team Germany, but they got bounced early in the tournament, and so he's been over here in Utah and skating as well. Olli Mata won bronze for Finland. He's now a 2-time bronze medalist. He was over there a little bit later, but he's typically been Utah's 7th defenseman. So the Mammoth kind of feel pretty good about where their defense is at. So it's a case-by-case basis. Team USA still living it up and still partying. Not sure what their re-entry into the atmosphere is going to look like. But I think the health of guys coming out of that tournament is a real factor, or at least their game readiness after something that we've been looking forward to for years now. These Olympics, after that comes and goes. I mean, DJ, you can imagine it could be hard to settle back into the grind of an 82-game regular season in the National Hockey League.
The emotion is unreal, and for all the joy and ecstasy that the U.S. felt yesterday and all the dejection Canada felt when the games were here in 2002, it was a U.S.-Canada final, and Canada won. And the pictures of Wayne Gretzky, I mean, euphoric. You would have thought he just won another Stanley Cup. I mean, it was, he was like, I mean, it looked like he'd been sweating. Now, at some point, he just got doused with champagne and probably beer and probably soda and probably water and probably lemonade. I mean, until the vending machine is empty, it's like, we got root beer, let's go. Whatever it takes. This is a wild celebration. And I do wonder, aside from the tired legs and the jet lag and all that, what that emotion does. And the Canadians are way down and the Americans are way up. And I saw it in 2002. It was exactly the opposite. And Vancouver in 2010, they had another showdown like this. So this is just one of the things, and it's kind of odd that it's midseason, but I really wouldn't want it to be any other way. It was the whole tournament was too much fun. The U.S. semifinal, that one got out of hand. But other than that, I mean, 3 of the quarters were in OT. It was just great hockey all along. So I hope that Four Nations format lives on and they keep it going. Not as many teams, not as much time, but nonetheless, pretty cool stuff.
Well, yeah, and the great thing was there were rivalries built into the Four Nations, right? I mean, Finland and Sweden don't like each other, and then we got 2 matchups of U.S., Canada. Whereas these Olympics were fantastic. I think the pool play was a little sleepy.
Yeah, it was.
The Americans had 3 pretty
easy wins,
for lack of a better word, easy wins.
Right.
Yeah. But the crescendo is what matters, and that's what people are going to remember. And it absolutely lived up to the hype and then some. I'm curious, like, as we were all consuming Team USA victory videos and content on social media, did you have a favorite like image or video? Because I've got a couple that were my favorite visuals from the celebration. In those moments, the one thing I like to play over and over, when something happens, right? And in that moment, the big home run, the big goal, the big catch, whatever it is, right? The big hoop, I love to look at the crowd, the people who are there in person, feeling the energy in the arena. And what happens to their bodies is they lose all control as adrenaline just like straight from your heart out into every fingertip. And I mean, Jordan hit the shot in Utah, and I literally know people were sitting behind the basket and to watch their reaction. And that was a negative reaction. But nonetheless, to go up to somebody and say, hey, first off, nice seats. How'd you get there? And then second on, the look on your face. And they're like, I felt like I was dying. I shouldn't be that into a basketball game, but literally I felt like I couldn't breathe, And so for me, it was watching the people behind the goal. There were a lot of American fans. We had Sam Farnsworth on earlier. He thought it was 75% Canada, 25% U.S., right? But there were American fans. They were wearing the red, white, and blue, or they had the flag or whatever, and their expressions as they realized the winning goal was in, just epic. I can watch that stuff over and over. There were so many great moments. We do have to mention the Johnny Gaudreau element to it as well. And if you're not aware, Johnny Gaudreau, an American hockey player, was him and his brother were killed by a drunk driver in 2024, right before last season. And he's a guy who a lot of these guys on Team USA grew up playing with or even were teammates in the NHL. But a lot of them played together, at the academy or through college or what have you. So they all know of each other. And he was a big part of USA Hockey, had represented the America before internationally. And After his passing, they made sure at Four Nations last year and then the Olympics this year to have a separate stall for Johnny and for his number 13. And they brought his jersey onto the ice in the post-game celebration. They brought his kids onto the ice for that gold medal picture. So really special that Team USA continues to celebrate the guy they call Johnny Hockey, who very, very well probably would have been a part of this American Olympic team. But also, I don't know, do you see the video of Quinn Hughes, star defenseman for the Americans, asking for another beer during the press conference? He looked like he was ordering it at Chili's, like flagging down the waitress or something like that, trying to sneak one more beer in at the press conference.
He's ordering from a waitress at Chili's. Well, there's a visual for you. All right. PK does have one of those stories. I think it was with the Bulls in L.A. when he was working for the Daily Breeze. And he saw the guys, literally the world champions, millionaires, everybody scrambling for quarters to empty the vending machine. That's why I gave you that empty the vending machine reference. They're like, whatever it is, whatever liquid it is, I'm going to throw it across the room and splash it all over people. PK said it was total chaos, just absolute zoo. But it's what everybody's chasing. Everybody's chasing that moment. And with the exception of the Dodgers, you can't buy that moment. The Dodgers can. With the exception of the Dodgers, you can't buy that moment. You got to earn it. And when you get it, it's so sweet. And now he's Michael Jordan. He's a legend. He's got the. But when they won the first one, it was, he can score a lot of points. He's really good, but he's not a winner. You know, and believe it or not, even Jordan had to fight that label. And so at the age of 27, it was a wild celebration in the locker room in front of all the cameras and the media. That is, I love the last story, though. That is a great touch because the trauma comes in lots of different forms. And it's obvious, losing someone to a drunk driver. The trauma goes on, and people get they tend to get the feedback and the support in the moment, and and everybody's story is different, but they tend to get it in the moment, and they tend not to get it in the long run, so that they remember years later and do that. That is a really nice touch, because I think that's one place as people we probably often fall down. So good for them.
Yeah, it was special in Milan. The Gaudreau family was there in the crowd as well, and you could tell it meant a lot to them when the anthem was being played, and Johnny's jersey was right there with the rest of the gold medalists. But incredible stuff. Can't wait for this to be a documentary at some point, or a piece of long form content. I'm sure there's a ton of behind the scenes footage. It's going to be some great Netflix or HBO content, whatever it's going to be. Not quite Miracle on Ice 1980, but it is the first gold medal since 1980, that Miracle on Ice team for the U.S. in men's hockey. 46 years to the date when U.S. beat the Soviets in 1980, that miracle game. 46 years to the date, the Americans win gold against Team Canada. Much different set of circumstances, but another huge day for hockey in the United States of America, and a day we can all be proud of, like that day back in 1980.
Mike, we appreciate it. We will talk to you again next week after we hear you call a couple of games, and then we'll get into the whole playoff race. It looks like 5 teams fighting for 2 wild cards, or you could say 7 teams fighting for 4 playoff spots, but 2 in the Pacific Division, the worst division in hockey, are guaranteed, whoever finishes second, third. So it ought to be crazy, and we will talk with you about that next time. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, let's limit PK's PTO to like 40 days this year. I think he's getting up towards the 50 mark. So
I just think
let's try to bring it down to just a couple of weeks.
He just takes time off when he knows you're coming on. He's not really gone that much. It's personal. You two have a beef. I don't understand it. It's just, you two just going at it.
Yeah, that sounds.
I brought up Purdue for him though, because I know he would have brought that up. I saw that Purdue Indiana score. I thought you got to bring that up with Mike. All right, thanks a lot, Mike.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there's Mike Folta talking hockey now. Let's pivot to Kevin Young. BYU hosts UCF tonight, 9 o'clock, ESPN2. Both teams 8-6 in conference. Both teams looking like NCAA tournament teams right now. Here's Kevin Young looking forward to the game.
Coach, obviously emotional, much-needed win on Saturday. What's kind of the key to keeping it rolling this week and not letting the highs of this past weekend distract or get in the way of moving forward?
Yeah, I just talked to the guys about that. I just think understanding the why behind that was why we were able to win that game. And the bottom line is we executed for 40 minutes and we played extremely hard. And so I think our guys understand, how important that win was. And I think that just the of a smart group of guys. I think they understand just how important it is to, that time of year, to turn things up. And so, you got a UCF team coming in that's, tied with us in the standings. I think everybody understands, there's no time to wait around and to build on what we did.
Mitch, are you there? Okay, go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, sorry, I was just away. Kevin, so much was made earlier in the year about slow starts. Over the past week, it seemed like there was more success out of the gates, especially against two of the higher-ranked teams in the country. What do you attribute to recent stronger starts from this new look group?
I don't know if I would point, what I'm going to say directly to that, but I think overall, man, as a staff, I think we're giving the guys a lot more clarity. I think there's a lot less guessing. Not that they were guessing before, so I shouldn't even say guessing. I just think the clarity. I think the guys understand exactly what the plan is on offense, exactly what the plan is on defense. I think that's allowed the guys to come out and play a little bit harder and freer to start games, and continue it throughout the game. So I think that's been a big difference between what we've done the last few games and what we were doing earlier on in the year.
And then I wanted to ask you, we all see what AJ does on the court every night, but I'm curious, what have been your impressions of how AJ has performed as a leader of your team away from the court and when the spotlight isn't on him?
I've been very impressed. He's a guy that has a great personality. He's friends with a lot of guys off the court. I enjoy watching him and Rob, just be able to, let their personality shine within the group. AJ is just a likable guy, and I think his teammates enjoy being around him. I do push him and Rob to try to be more, not just vocal leaders, but leaders by example. And I think they've answered the call there, and I'm going to continue to push them to do that.
All right, Jackson, you're up.
Kevin, you mentioned earlier just being tied in the standings with UCF. What are your overall thoughts on the Knights and just what kind of challenges do they present for tomorrow?
Yeah, what I see on tape is a lot of really good one-on-one basketball players. I think they're big and strong. They do a good job of, going at matchups that they like, and they get down, to their spots, whether that's, mid-range or to the basket. And so, we'll have to do a good job with our one-on-one defense and be, prideful in that, but also being able to make sure we have good help and guard the ball with five guys. But again, I think we understand what it is for them. This is a great opportunity for them to build up their resume. And so I'm sure it's going to be a very intense basketball game, and our guys are ready for that challenge.
And then on against Iowa State, the rebounding was a great strength you guys had. You said it was one of the reasons why you won the game. What's your confidence level in sustaining kind of that success in the rebounding, especially in the offensive glass?
It's something we talk about, all the time. And so, that was and continues to be one of my major concerns without Richie is he was one of our best rebounders on both ends of the floor. And so challenging guys like, Mihailo and to be more consistent on the glass, challenging AJ. AJ had one of his highest offensive crash rates of the season last game. Obviously Hadim is a rebounding machine, and he's been able to fill that gap for us a little bit. So, just guys have to continue to do more. I think Caba's been a come back to life. It's the Caba that we all know and love, what we've seen in the last couple games. And so I think we're getting contributions from different guys on the glass, and our guys understand that when that is a strength of ours, we're a very, very hard team to beat because, on the defensive end, it really, really allows us to get out in transition where I think we're very good. And then on the offensive side, it becomes part of the possession battle, which I've been talked about a lot.
All right, we'll go Sean, then Mitch.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned Hadim, which I was going to bring up. So let me just pivot a little bit back to UCF because this is a team that's playing with a lot of confidence right now. Obviously, a big win over the weekend up the road in Salt Lake. Does that kind of capture your guys' attention to make sure maybe help make sure that you don't kind of lower the energy from what you had on Saturday night?
I mean, you definitely respect their ability to go on the road and get a win, especially cross country like that. But I mean, and I say this with all due respect to UCF. I don't need to see anything for any team to grab my attention. I mean, our league is a bear. Everybody understands it. Any team can beat anybody on a given night. They've proven they can beat any team in our league. They're well coached. They have guys who are really talented, like I just said. But more than anything, you just look at the standings and where they're at, and what they're saying in their locker room. This is a huge game for them, as it is for us. It's a massive game for both teams. And so, our guys will be ready to go for those reasons.
All right, Mitch, we'll finish up with you.
Yeah, Kevin, we saw Hadim leave around the 2:20 mark in that game on Saturday. Is he okay for tomorrow?
Yeah, he was a little limited today in practice, but he's the type of kid, man, I think you'd have to saw his leg off for him to not play in the game.
Fair enough. And kind of a fun, lighthearted question. I asked this because I remember you told us when AJ had long sleeves one game, it kind of threw you off. You're big on routines. The team tomorrow is going to wear blackout jerseys, from what I understand. Do you have to sign off on that because it's a little bit different look and aesthetic on the court?
That's news to me, but that's a little bit different. The sleeves definitely were in its own category, but I think our guys will be ready to go. I trust our crew that puts all that together.
One more thing for me, I'm just curious, is the final stretch run here, do you get caught up in any sort of scenarios or kind of make yourself aware of what possibilities are in front of your team when it comes to Big 12 tournament seeding and bracketology, or are you just kind of not worrying about that at all?
I mean, I'm aware of it. I try to, I know more about it now this year than I did last year, so I talk to my coaches about it. And so I'm in tune with it. Bottom line is, regardless of where you are, clearly you want to be in the best situation you can be in terms of, whether it's seeding for the Big 12 or for NCAA. But I think the most important thing is just, playing at a high level, this time of year and being able to just execute, for 40 minutes, like I said. But yes, I do look at it. Like I said, I'm a fan of the game too. So I like knowing the landscape and seeing kind of where teams stack up. So it's we're infringing upon the best time of year in college sports. So here we go.
There's BYU basketball coach Kevin Young. All right, we're going to take a break right now. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.